A fire broke out late at night, and as the incident commander, I calmly sipped my tea. In my previous life, when I first detected the fire, I immediately ordered my team to respond. I had them tackle the fire from different angles based on its spread. Watching the fire get under control and survivors being rescued, I finally breathed a sigh of relief and closed my eyes for a moment. Suddenly, the police showed up and cuffed me, suspected of intentional homicide. "You're coming with us." My team, fresh from the scene, covered in injuries, shouted furiously, "How could you be so heartless? We trusted you, and you intentionally misreported the fire. We didn't have enough trucks, and you put alcohol in the water hoses." What was an ordinary fire exploded, mutilating several brothers. There were no survivors. Those were real lives. How could you do this? I realized the fire wasn't controlled at all. It had exploded, and over 10 people died. But I clearly saw the fire under control and people saved. I wanted to check the surveillance footage, but was horrified to find it showed my supposed mistakes. My husband, Jerry, presented a video. She's always been reckless with lives, hated night shifts for ruining her sleep. So what if lives were lost? I couldn't defend myself and was shoved into traffic by emotional victims' families, run over by a truck. After my death, my apprentice, Lily, took over my position and started living with Jerry. Jerry wept online, calling me despicable, forgiving the driver, winning public praise. I jolted awake, back on the day of the fire. A knock on my desk startled me. I looked up to see a familiar face, my apprentice who had been with me since graduation. "Ma'am, you're free tonight, right? Can we swap shifts? Please, pretty please." She pouted, seemingly pleading, but her eyes were determined. In my past life, I didn't think much and agreed. Little did I know, I was stepping right into her trap. To swap tonight, just before the fire, she must be involved. But how? Did she really set the fire? Those were dozens of lives. Looking at her sweet face, I felt a chill. "What's wrong, ma'am? Can't swap? I have a date tonight, please help," she pleaded, grabbing my hand anxiously. I gazed steadily at her. "I'm really tired today. Find someone else." Her eyes flashed with urgency and displeasure as she pushed a tea pouch into my hand. "Ma'am, you're the only one. It's my precious tea, a sip will refresh you. Swap with me?" She seemed pitiful, and my colleagues teased, urging me to help Grace. Their comments and Grace's flustered look made me uneasy. I finally said, "All right, I agree." Grace beamed and brewed tea for me gratefully. "Thank you so much, teacher. Please enjoy the tea." I accepted the cup but set it aside, and she looked tearful. "Are you mad, teacher? Was my request too much? Just this once, I promise." She spoke loudly, and the others glanced at me disapprovingly. Feeling colder by the minute, I couldn't help thinking. Last time, Lily also gave me this tea, watching me drink it. How was this tea related to what happened later? I took a sniff. It smelled of tea, no trace of alcohol. Under their gazes, I drank. Satisfied, Lily left smiling. "Thanks, teacher. Tonight will be peaceful." Before long, Jerry arrived with food. "You're working tonight, right? I arranged a swap so I can join you." He opened the lunchbox. "Hard work, honey. Let's eat." Warm concern, but it chilled me inside. First my apprentice, then my husband so quickly? Were they ensuring I played along tonight? The one I shared my bed with was so eager to see me ruined. In my past life, Jerry was with the rescue team. He followed my orders and even saved a survivor who waved at me. Everything was normal. The fire was controlled, then it changed. The water hoses, checked by me. How did they have alcohol? A chilling idea struck me, and I quickly messaged a friend. At 4 a.m., my phone rang. It was Lily. "Teacher, it's bad. A fire broke out in the West Industrial area. Get the teams out now." Just like last time, she bypassed the dispatcher, directly calling me. Back then, I didn't question, just acted on her information. Calm now, I realized her voice held feigned panic but also excitement. She definitely started this fire. I responded slowly. "I think you dialed wrong. You should call the dispatch center first." Lily's voice turned shrill. "Are you crazy? Procedures at a time like this? Lives are at stake. Do you think I'd lie about a fire, Lisa? You think I'd joke about this?" She urged me to check the live feeds. There really was a massive fire. Screams echoed, but I remained unmoved. Lily panicked. "How can you be so cold? Ignoring lives, not saving them. Are you even fit to be a firefighter? Every minute counts. A life saved. Please." I held my phone away. "Here's an idea. Since you're on the scene, you know best. This time, you're in charge of the operation." Lily was practically growling. "Lisa, where's your conscience? Passing the buck at a time like this, when you're the one on duty. I've always respected you so much. I lack experience. Please, come help save people." Just then, Jerry dashed over, looking frantic and shouting, "Lisa, isn't there a fire? You better call it in before it's too late." I sipped my hot tea, unhurried, and said, "You all go. Bring some extra gear. Lily will lead." In a past life, I took 4 fire trucks. Once there, Lily unexpectedly asked me to go inside and assist. I handed her my gear, staying outside to direct. I watched several team members save survivors. I even personally checked to confirm they were alive. The hoses worked perfectly, controlling the fire. Lily sprinted out, excited, reporting that everyone was rescued and we could soon regroup. All of that seemed so real, couldn't have been faked. But what I later saw on the surveillance footage was completely different. In the footage, I was outside the fire just as before, but things went wrong once the flames were somewhat controlled. The water hoses malfunctioned, the water spiked with alcohol, causing an explosion. On video, I had already left the scene before the explosion to rest in a vehicle. It didn't add up to my experience. How did they pull this off? Before I could figure it out, teammates burst in. "Lisa, isn't there a fire? Why haven't you called it in?" They looked anxious, exuding frustration and anger. I raised an eyebrow. "I've let Lily handle it." "Didn't you get her alert?" One member, furious, slammed a cup down. "Lisa, why are you sipping tea? It's a fire emergency. Are you treating this job like a joke? Or are lives just a game to you? This is a fire." I nodded. "Right, it's a fire. Lily's at the scene, knows the situation better. Didn't she guide you?" The group was fuming. "Are you kidding? You're on duty today. Stop splitting hairs. And Lily's experience can't match yours, yet you're sitting back? Do you get how vital lives are?" I shrugged off their words, said lazily, "I'm not fit to direct right now, but I'm ready to enter the fire and save people. Relax, after this fire's dealt with, I'll resign." Jerry jumped in, pointing a finger and shouting, "Lisa, you shouldn't have been a leader ages ago. You disregard lives, still acting like they're nothing." He clutched his head in anguish. "I blame myself. When you said you hated being on duty, hated responding, I thought you were joking. Didn't think you actually meant it. I should have reported you. You heartless jerk." Then, he whipped out a phone, showing a video of me looking indifferent and cold. Again with the night shifts, it's annoying. If there's a fire, it's fate for these lives. Serves them right. If they're dead, they're dead. Stop disturbing my rest. I've pulled so many overnights, my skin's ruined. Just let them all die, so I can sleep well. The team reacted in shock, glaring at me with disgust. In a past life, David shared this video publicly. It had a clear view of my face. Victims' families came after me, beating me out of anger, until someone stabbed me, pushing me into traffic. Thinking back, I looked at David, hands trembling. I had approached the police. They said the video wasn't doctored, but those weren't my words, or my thoughts. David looked remorseful, but had a victorious gleam in his eyes. "I should have reported you back then. Now it's too late, but you're to blame for those deaths. I'm posting this video online, showing everyone your ugly side." Teammates, eyes red, focused on me. "We've called you a captain chief for ages. Was that a mistake? Do you honor this uniform? We were so wrong about you. Even dying 10,000 times wouldn't be enough punishment." I sighed softly, took another sip of tea. "Are you done?" I asked. "I've never said I wouldn't save people. You're ignoring lives right now." I looked at David, calmly. "Earlier, you rushed around frantically yet still had time to release a video against me. Are you rushed or not?" "Really?" It was David's turn to flare up, frustrated. I was mad. "You didn't seem to care, just sitting there, dismissing lives as nothing." I shook my head, keenly. "I think you're pretty sharp." David sneered. "It's too late to save it now. Let's see how you explain this to everyone." For fire trucks hadn't been out long before police stopped them. David's eyes flickered. "Officers, we're responding to a fire. Why stop us?" Teammates laughed sarcastically, pointing at me. "Officer, is someone reporting her? As a fire leader, she neglects her duty, plays down lives. Someone like that, nothing illegal would surprise me." The police officer frowned, checked their info. "This is the vehicle. Suspicion of arson and murder." Teammates were gleeful, watching me closely. David eagerly tugged me ahead. "Officer, it's definitely her. Take her for a thorough investigation. I've got evidence." I took a deep breath, quelling my anger, raised a hand. "Officer, I reported it. I'm turning myself in." Ignoring their shocked looks, I said blankly, "I've dismissed lives. Failed this uniform. 3 as a firefighter, I used to delay time on purpose, make false alarms, so that people couldn't get to the scene and help in time, causing survivors to lose their lives. That's exactly what they accused me of in my past life, and now I've said it first." People stared at me like I'm crazy. Just as the police were about to take me away, David suddenly stopped them. "Officer, while she is guilty, we have a fire to fight right now, and she's our team leader. It's urgent. Arrest her later, please. He seemed genuinely worried about the fire. After asking about the location, the officer looked puzzled. The West City industrial area? There's already a police team there. David's expression faltered. The team members didn't notice anything strange, insisting on going to the scene. What good are the police? We need firefighters. Let us go first, we're running out of time. Seeing how ready they were to burst into tears, the officer didn't explain and led them to the site. Meanwhile, I calmed down after checking the messages from a friend on my phone. After a few minutes, fire trucks and police cars arrived at the fire scene. Flames were raging, and the team rushed to use the fire hoses. But I stopped them. Don't use the hoses. David's gaze was sharp as a knife. Lisa, it's a critical time to save lives. Why are you causing trouble now? Do you want survivors to just die like that? Grace appeared out of nowhere, eyes red and crying desperately. Master, you finally got here. I called you an hour ago. Why are you now stopping us from extinguishing the fire? Behind her stood a live streamer, phone pointed at me, capturing everything. The streamer eagerly engaged with her audience. Yep, I'm here at the West City Industrial Area fire. The firefighter squad is here at long last. They say this is the fire chief, but still no action on rescuing. The team members pushed past me in frustration. If you won't save them, we will. I shouted, if you want this fire to explode, go ahead and use those hoses. Hearing that, they froze, staring at me with wide eyes. A flash of panic crossed Grace's face, and she blurted, how did you know there was alcohol in the hoses? I smiled. I never said it was alcohol. How did you know? David stepped in front of Grace. Alcohol is the most common explosive liquid. Lisa, are you just deflecting blame? Tell us what's really wrong with the hoses. Did you put something in them? Why are you stopping us from fighting this fire? Did you start it on purpose? What's your motive? Grace caught on, tears brimming in her eyes. Master, I know you're upset about the night shifts, but how can you ignore living, breathing people? Do you know how many people are in that industrial area? Why stop us from saving them? I thought you were just cold-hearted, but I didn't expect you to be this careless with lives. The streamer gasped, egging on the viewers. A firefighter who refuses to save. Are we going to just watch them burn alive? A police officer tried to get her to shut off the stream, but was stopped by the intense comments. Why stop the stream? We need the full truth. How's an arsonist wearing a firefighter's uniform? Does she deserve to be one? We demand transparency. My son's in that area. If anything happens, I'll hold her responsible. Full stream. We have the right to know. Suddenly, I felt transported back to my previous life, where everything was playing out the same. Grace and David framed me in front of the live cameras as the cops took me away. It was never fully investigated, and I paid with my life by the victims' families. But this time, things won't go as they hope. I shrugged. I'm not stopping you from fighting the fire. It's already out. David sneered. That's absurd. Without intervention, how could it just put itself out? Lisa, you must be crazy. I couldn't be bothered to say more. They turned and saw the fire truly had been extinguished. No flames to be seen. Another squad of firefighters was on site, doing cleanup. Grace murmured in disbelief, how is that possible? Her tone carried a bit of regret and tension. As I looked at her, the pieces of my past life truth started fitting together. At that moment, another police squad arrived and conferred with the first. The streamer aimed her camera at them, excitedly. The fire has been put out, but they're still investigating the cause. I'm sure the police will give everyone a satisfactory answer soon. The officer came over seriously. Further investigation is necessary. Please come with us. David couldn't hold back. We'll cooperate fully. Officer, I have plenty of evidence to assist. My wife's always complained about her job. I've told her to quit multiple times, but she wouldn't listen. I know she's the one who added something explosive to the hoses, preventing us from fighting the fire. If not for the other squad, who knows what disaster might have unfolded? I nodded. Yeah, I'm the one who added something to the water. David's eyes lit up. She's confessed. Arrest her, sentence her. Grace chimed in eagerly, the two of them wanting to pin the blame on me immediately. The officer frowned. Calm down. We won't let any criminals go, but we also won't falsely accuse any good person. David glanced around, then whispered to the streamer as they both fiddled with their phones. I looked down at the screen. Turns out, David used a viral account to post the videos he had. Within minutes, it went viral, filled with hate comments. By the time we got to the police station, a crowd had already formed outside. They were employees and family members from the West Side Industrial Zone. They were furious, and when they saw me get out of the car, they swarmed around me. That's her. She almost blew up the entire industrial zone. We all saw it. She put something in the water gun and delayed the rescue operation. She stopped other firefighters from putting out the fire. If another team hadn't come over, who knows if I'd still be alive. How can someone like her be a firefighter? We demand strict punishment. The police struggled to push back the crowd and explained, we'll find out the truth. Please don't obstruct the police work. People calmed down a bit until someone suddenly shouted, what do you need to investigate? She confessed everything herself. Are you trying to cover for her? I followed the voice and spotted a familiar face. It was the relative of the victim who pushed me onto the road in a previous life. He looked furious, staring daggers at me. My daughter was at the West Side Industrial Zone. She was almost killed by this piece of trash. She must compensate for our losses. The crowd's emotions flared up again, demanding I pay for the damages. Just like last time when I was fatally harmed, the person moved closer to push me. I shouted coldly, pointing to Grace. The real culprit is here. She's the one who set the fire. Grace, who had been enjoying the show, froze and backed up a few steps. Master, what are you saying? Why are you framing me? I asked calmly. The West Side Industrial Zone fire, you're the one who called me about it. It was 3:12 in the morning. Your place is on Yongfu Road Pedestrian Street, over an hour away from the industrial zone. How did you suddenly appear there and discover the fire? Hearing this, the crowd's doubtful eyes turned to Grace. Her face turned pale and panicked. David's voice rose sharply. Lisa, what's wrong with you? Do you have any evidence? How could Grace start a fire? You're just making things up to drag her down with you. Grace seemed to gain confidence, straightening her back to accuse. Master, I know you don't want to be convicted, but don't falsely accuse good people. I have a friend who works in the West Side Industrial Zone. I was visiting when I discovered the fire. How can you accuse me without proof? David snorted coldly. Lisa, I misjudged you. You never liked Grace, and now you're trying to bite her at the end? The crowd suddenly got it and looked at me with even more disgust. I looked at David, who was exchanging glances with Grace, and said expressionlessly, and you deliberately poisoned me. David panicked, lip trembling. Have you gone mad? You're just making things up. I ignored him and told the police, I demand a full body check. While waiting for the results, the police verified the video David submitted. To appease the public, the entire process was live streamed. The results came back quickly, showing no signs of tampering. The video was real. In the video, I purposefully walked toward the fire truck. I was doing a normal inspection when I suddenly pulled a bottle from my pocket and poured a liquid in. David looked at me indignantly. Lisa, do you have anything to say? How could you be so malicious? Grace was in tears, feeling incredibly guilty. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have asked you to switch shifts. I didn't know you were so cruel. Even the internet blew up, demanding severe punishment for me. Even though it didn't cause serious harm, it's a vile act. Abusing power. She must be punished. I can't imagine it. The fire could have been contained, but with the alcohol, it would explode. She must be severely punished, to set an example. The police looked at me sternly. Lisa, do you have anything else to confess? I admitted outright, I did it. Before the police could say anything, David slammed the table in anger. Lisa, why did you do this? Do you know how many families you'll ruin? Do you even have a conscience? I was equally curious. What about you, David? Where's your conscience? Before he could respond, a sudden knock interrupted. The full body check results were out. The report showed I had hallucinogens and small amounts of fungus toxins in my system. An investigator frowned. What did you eat last night? This dosage wouldn't kill, but could cause hallucinations and confusion, making someone unaware of their actions. I took out the tea leaves Grace gave me, shaking them. This, my good student gave me as a gift. Grace jumped, snatching the tea. You didn't finish it? That's Mother Tree de Hongpo. If you're not drinking, give it back. I thought you'd need it for your shift, so I kindly gave it to you. And this is how you repay me? Fine. If you don't want it, I'll take back my goodwill. She rushed off to dispose of the tea leaves in the bathroom. I leisurely pulled another tea bag from my pocket. Oops, I brought the wrong one. That was my personal stash. Why were you running so fast? Grace's face flushed with anger. You're messing with me. I calmly watched her. Why are you so guilty? David declared sternly. Lisa, this tea was yours. Why are you accusing others? I took out the food container next. Why were you in a rush? You made me lunch too. Undercooked mushrooms? What was your plan there? David's face drastically changed. Didn't you eat it all? He personally tossed the container in the trash and watched the garbage truck take it away. 5. He thought he'd done it all cleanly. Of course, I swapped the lunchbox when he turned his back. How could I let him destroy the evidence in this life? Looking at their faces, the cops didn't need any more explanation. They slapped a silver bracelet on each of them right then and there. Grace was still not giving up and shouted, why'd you eat it if you knew something was up? And how do you explain putting alcohol in the water gun? Wasn't that your own doing? If I hadn't eaten it, how would the show go on? As for the alcohol, I took the recorder pinned to my chest and handed it to the police. That's a question for my dear husband. The recorder played back and all the conversations were clearly recorded. Everyone heard the whole hypnotic process David used on me. The investigators nodded, no signs of tampering. The dates are correct, and the voice match is spot on. Finally catching on, a team member who came to the station with me slapped David hard across the face. "You bastard, what have you done?" David collapsed to the ground. The evidence I submitted was quickly tested. Grace's tea had neurotoxins, part of some hallucinogen, from her family's factory. The mushrooms in David's food were also sketchy. He yelled he was innocent, saying he didn't know they were bad. But the police soon dug up that he grew up in Mushroom Town, where these mushrooms are super common. He'd learned how to handle them since he was a kid. After they were taken away, their poisoning charges stuck pretty fast. I went ahead and sued Grace for arson. Evidence was found by a friend during cleanup. I had already informed a firefighter friend closer to the West Side Industrial Zone to keep an eye, maybe even contact the surveillance room before the fire broke out. So, as soon as the fire started, her team rushed over, controlled it, saved all survivors, and minimized losses. After I appealed, the internet exploded. The boss of West Side Industrial Zone was the first to cooperate with the investigation. His rival was Grace's parents' company. If it was really Grace, he'd make them pay dearly. Grace insisted she wasn't the one who set the fire, claiming the person caught on camera wasn't her. But that person was the same one who shoved me out in my past life. After being caught, he confessed everything but pointed at Grace, saying she hired him and even showed him the ropes, providing video evidence. He dared to set the fire, but was also scared of dying, so he secretly recorded everything when Grace wasn't watching, kept it safe like a protective charm. Grace broke down. Such serious charges meant she'd face the death penalty. Panicking, she tried to drag David down with her, saying it was all his idea. David naturally refused, and in the police station, they started tearing each other apart, revealing all their dirt on each other. In the end, all three were sentenced. Everything that happened in the past life was finally clear, and all my grievances were cleared. The day the results were announced, I resigned from my supervisor. The chief asked in confusion, everything was cleared up. "Grace, you aren't in any trouble. Why leave?" I chuckled. David started drugging me with hallucinogens a month ago. Now, my mind's still a bit fuzzy here and there. I can't do my job anymore. The chief could only express regret. "You were the best officer here. It's such a shame this happened." I shook my head. I misjudged him, but thankfully, nothing really terrible happened. My boss felt relieved yet frightened. "Luckily, you realized it early and reported it. Who knows how it might have ended?" I smiled. It wasn't just luck. The painful experiences from my past life allowed me to stop it all in time. No one got burned alive. No one died because of me. I did right by my job. The chief sighed and looked at me worriedly. "What's next for you? If you need help finding work, just ask." Feeling warmth in my heart, I smiled contentedly. "I'll take care of my health first, and figure out what's next later." In fact, the inheritance from my parents means I don't have to work anymore. That's also why David targeted me. A month ago, my parents passed away. Everything originally under their name became mine, joint property in the marriage. As long as he divorced me or I died, David would get all of it. So, he started cooking and serving all kinds of mushrooms, hypnotizing me when my mind wandered, and recording incriminating videos. I was drowning in grief at the time, unaware of his intentions, and didn't think anything of my confused state and the occasional headache and stomach cramps. Just took 2 weeks off to rest. Grace had already teamed up with him, suggesting the fire at the West Side Industrial Zone for a clean sweep even if it left traces. Her family's factory's competitor was there, a win-win for her. Their partner was the reckless victim's family, the one who caused my death. He couldn't stand his daughter disobeying, marrying her off to get a high bride price. She died from the fire, but that wasn't a concern for him. The three heartless, life-disrespecting people plotted it all together. Fortunately, the truth came out and the culprits got what they deserved. Walking out, the warm sunshine washed over me, shaking off all the cold shadows. Where light shines, darkness has nowhere to hide. The end.